The Garden Report is brought to you by FanDuel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network.
Hey, Bobby Manning here. Welcome to the Garden Report. Gonna get into the Miami Heat, who third matchup against them in the last 4 years, probably the best or at least hottest and most maintained rivalry in the NBA right now. And I can already see it. Jimmy Butler being pissed about missing the shot last year.
Oh, yeah.
Avenging that.
Can't wait for this.
Max Strus stepping out of bounds. I already can't wait to talk to him about that. I remember asking him about that early this season. It's very clear he's still pissed about that. It's just a pissed off group that didn't play well this year, barely made it in the playoffs, lost the play-in game, and then won one where they trailed in the fourth quarter of Chicago and ended up beating the Bucks round one, Knicks round two. Both those fairly easy wins for them. And Jimmy Butler playing at the highest level of anyone left in the playoffs. So I'm not going to overlook this team as I've done in the past. And as I did for most of this year, I thought they were done. I didn't think they were any threat to Boston. Now they're here. They went 2-2 against the Celtics during the year, and they're playing some of the best basketball of any team left. So it's hard not to respect them coming into the series.
Yeah, you're wondering who's gonna step up here. You know, who's gonna be the difference maker. We know what to expect from Jimmy Butler. We know that guys can get hot. You know, the Khalid Martins and the Duncan Robinson. If they get going from deep, that really can make them, you know, tough to defend when you have to spread the floor that much. But what are we gonna see out of Bam Adebayo? I think that's the biggest question mark here. I see them trying to explore that matchup against Al as much as possible, trying to get him going. And is he going to rise to the occasion? Because if you're gonna see the same Bam Adebayo we've seen throughout the entire postseason, then the Celtics should be in good shape. And what I mean by that is you're getting about two of those what we saw throughout the regular season, right? A double-double, 20-plus points. Like, he's averaging two of those performances each series, and that's just not going to cut it against the Celtics. Do those translate into wins for Miami? Okay, yeah, sure. But with this Celtics team, with the way that Tatum's playing right now, how he's sort of turned things on again, you know, offensively, and Jaylen Brown hasn't really slowed down much as well. He's sort of been, you know, riding that wave of the way his offense is sort of trying to, you know, turn it up a notch these last couple of games. But you're looking at a Miami Heat team that obviously has the mental, you know, they had that mental toughness going into any series. They're not afraid of Boston. And when you think about the way things went down last season, I think that's relevant as well. It's just too bad there's no Tyler Hero, because I think that he would be tremendous in a series like this against the Celtics. But yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest question marks going in. What are we going to see out of Bam Adebayo? And does Joe Mazzulla stick with the rotation? I'm assuming he's going to stick with the double big. I want him to stick with the double big, but are you going to play 7 guys throughout the span of this series? And what does that mean for someone like Al Horford, who's going to play another 30-plus minutes or average that much throughout this series, going into a potential NBA Finals? Like, do you want to do that to him? Do you want to put Grant Williams back into the mix? You know, it'll be interesting to see what he does, but I'm hoping something like that happens where we're not just seeing Malcolm Brogdon and Derek White coming off the bench, and those are the only guys contributing.
The Garden Report is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers can get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you go to FanDuel.com/Boston.
Yeah, it was a 5-man effort, really.
They were scoreless in halftime in Game 7. I mean, look, that's the Celtics bench now. I'm calling it the Malcolm B and D White crew. You know what I mean? Like, that's the whole second unit.
I think that's where it's going to stay, too. There's almost no doubt they stayed double big, because
you stayed double big, especially in this matchup.
It's a good matchup for it, yeah.
Are you going to go deep into your bench, or are you going to go with at least another guy here, you know, in this matchup against the Heat?
I've said it all postseason. Even tonight when they started 4-11 from 3, I'm like, get Grant out there. Give
I think this would be a grand series. It'd be a good grand series.
I hope, because I think he's ready to go. I think he's played well in these playoffs when he has appeared out there. And maybe this was an Embiid thing. They didn't want him in Embiid, and they wanted double bigs out there for as much as they could muster. So that worked out well. And Embiid did actually say that was the key to this series going the way it did. Here's what he had to say about that double big alignment.
Joel, you and Al Horford have had your battles. How did he make it difficult on you in this series, and just how do you look back on that battle with him going back and forth throughout for 7 games?
He was pretty good. I thought as a team, you know, obviously he did a fantastic job. You know, great player. You know, he's a big part of everything they do, and he was great. I just thought as a team that they did a fantastic job. The adjustment they made, obviously, it's hard to drive in the paint. You know, Rob is sitting there all the time, so it makes every shot tougher. And And defensively, that took away, our bread and butter, which is the pick and roll between me and James. We didn't get a lot of those, shots that we usually get. Like I said, that made a, great adjustment, and that forced us to really James to really attack and make plays out of that, and either finish over volleyball, kick it out to the corner and force the other guys to make shots. So I thought for the most part, they did a good job as a team. Every time I had the ball, they were all pulling over to make sure there was no driving space for me to drive. So. Yeah, I thought, there were, credit to them. Like I said, that's the best team in the league, and they're pretty good.
So I think it's obvious that they're going to stay with that alignment. But you bring up a good point, Josue. Those guys are going to play a ton, particularly Horford, starting and finishing games for the most part, if they do double big without a backup playing any minutes at all. So Grant's the obvious choice, I think, to give you some staggering minutes off the bench, but they also could just keep playing small with White and Brogdon off the bench, and that could be tricky against Miami because they are a physical team that's going to attack the offensive glass. It's been pretty hot from three, so you're going to need better play from White, who was pretty good in that series last year. They got him going at times.
He's due. I mean, that's the benefit, right? You're waiting for that game. It could be game one, could be game two, but he's certainly due to give you
But you're right.
a
it's
solid
all about
offensive
the bench.
performance.
Yeah, because you're going to get something from Strus on the other side. Robinson, I don't know if they'll be able to play him as much in the series.
They're going to try, though.
Because of the mismatches.
They'll
They're going to have
definitely
to,
try,
without Hero. And that's another key one. Can they get him back? But I just think Miami's undermanned. A lot of it's going to come down to Boston playing defense at the level they can, because I think they can reach a higher ceiling than Miami on that end. And then these two offenses are just, for the most part, across the board, night and day. The Celtics can reach 120, 130, and this Heat team was playing like lottery-level offense during the regular season.
Yeah, I think we'll see a blowout, maybe two blowouts in the Celtics' favor. I wouldn't shock me when they just have those nights where everything's clicking and Jalen's hovering around 30 points. So that could happen. But yeah, I mean, look, I like the Celtics' chances in the series, but it really wouldn't shock me if this thing goes 6, or 7 or something like that because
I think
because of the Heat.
You have to consider that because of Butler, especially.
Right,
his ability to steal a game right now.
And plus, let's not forget who this team is. I mean, come on. We're not going to forget, like a week ago, the Celtics didn't just almost blow this whole thing, against the Philadelphia 76ers. So, I mean, when things are going really well for the Celtics, they get weird, all right? We just, that's who they are. I'm not afraid to say that. And I think a lot of Celtics fans would agree with that. So, hopefully, that doesn't happen. But again, it really wouldn't surprise me against a team like the Heat.
Yeah, I'm going to respect them this time around. No predictions yet, but those are some early keys to the series. What are you looking at with this one? We'll have a lot of time to preview it. I'm sure we'll do a full preview show on the Garden Report before Wednesday's Game 1. And, of course,
get that panic meter out.
Josue, Pavon, Bobby Manning will be giving you some practice coverage early this week, too, as Miami comes to town. Celtics getting ready. Game 1, 8:30 on Wednesday. Celtics Heat. We're going to have a Miami trip as well. Something a lot of writers, including myself, were devastated to miss out on round one.
In the first round, yeah.
But it came around unbelievable.
But no one expected it either. No one thought. We're like,
this.
we're going to make that trip to Milwaukee
we thought we were going to
always
Milwaukee
have
for those
to.
eggs with the hash browns. That's all they get excited about there. Miami,
yeah, that's right.
There's so much. And the bucket hat, I forgot it, but stay tuned. It'll be out later this week.
Stay tuned. Yeah, you'll definitely be rocking that.
Josue, Pavon, Bobby Manning.
Catch me with
Celtics.
the shades.
Moving on to Miami.
CLNS Media's Celtics coverage is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win.